Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the One Meal Channel where people from all over the world converge to watch me, a 20-something living in the Midwestern United States, make a massive pile of food for myself that's probably got enough calories to feed a family of 3 for one meal. If you want to enjoy this meal as much as I like making this meal, grab yourself your favorite beverage. For me, that beverage is coffee. Let us have a sip with one another in celebration of another upload on the One Meal Channel. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to admit to you, I just took a fake sip right there. That is really, really hot. It's even hotter than I can take. So I just a fake sip right there. I will have plenty of more sips before the video is over. Hey, hello everyone, welcome back. Let's get on with the video. We are departing from our breakfast burritos. We're getting back into the chicken egg fried rice. My rice going in the rice maker, and I think we're going to take half of it and we're going to add our black beans to kind of supplement a lot of those carbs, add a little bit more protein, keep the calories up, because I liked that. Tomorrow we'll probably do another chicken egg fried rice. It'll be good for us, and then to finish off our upload schedule for the week, we will make some chicken curry. So I've decided I'm going to make it in the crock pot. We're going to stick with this kind of new tradition of making a crock pot meal on our final upload of the week. Kind of take a midweek break if you're new here. Upload 5 times. And we've started something new where I break out of my normal routine of just kind of having chicken egg fried rice, making breakfast sandwiches, things like that, and instead go in and make a crock pot meal. So the whole point of the channel, as most of you are aware, is essentially just simplicity and consistency. My schedule is going to be busier than it's probably ever been in my entire life here coming up. So these last 3 years of eating only one meal a day and preparing the way that I have is actually going to serve me wonders. But regardless, I still think that the crock pot meals is going to be essential moving forward. So we're going to do that. We're going to stick with the crock pot meals. Keep making your suggestions of what you think I should try. Curry is a pretty large degree outside of my comfort zone. But as for actually cooking it, I don't think I'm going to have any problem for that. It's more so like eating it that I have my reservations about. But I'm sure it'll be just fine. Okay, so yeah, I start work today at about 3 o'clock. It's 1 o'clock right now. So I'm not going to be rushing through this by any means, but I do want to make sure I'm efficient with my uploads. My last day at this job will be about a week from now, a little more than a week from now, and then I'll switch into my new job next week. It'll be all work from home. So although I'll be busier than I ever have been because I have some other things going on, I will be able to enjoy my time here in the house, which is kind of nice. Kind of nice. I like the work from home stuff. I actually get to get my work done. I don't have a whole bunch of people coming up to me in the office asking me a bunch of questions that aren't relevant to my work. I think most people, since they spend most of their time at work in the office, try to blend their real life and their office life together. They go out and take long lunches, grab dinner or drinks after work, spend a lot of time like making friends with their coworkers. And I mean, I don't know, it seems to work well for them. They seem to be happy. I wouldn't tell them not to do that, but that's just not a system that works well for me. The only friends that I ever made at work were people that like were really good at their job. And by friends, I mean like they're the only people that I talk to. They're the only people I'd ever sit with in the lunchroom. The only people that I'd ever ask questions of were people that were really good at their job. And we developed a mutual respect for one another by, me trying to be good at my job as well. All these people that like developed friendships at work where they were like hanging out after work and hanging out on the weekends and joining ultimate frisbee clubs together. Again, they seemed really happy. But I never really saw myself being able to do something like that. That's a little bit to do with the fact that I'm like probably antisocial, but I have no problem interacting with people. I just prefer not to, unless it's in trying to accomplish a goal. So work from home has been great. It's the challenge with work from home is definitely in onboarding, like when you first start at a company, because there are a lot of questions that you want to ask. Well, one, they don't have an onboarding process because companies haven't adjusted from work from home very well. So you have to ask a lot of questions by yourself, for yourself, and guess what? Nobody has an answer for you. They don't get back to you in an efficient amount of time. When if you were in an office, you could just go over to somebody's desk, ask them a question, and whether or not they wanted to answer it, they would answer it because they know that's the quickest way to kind of get you to go along on your way. Yeah, remote work, you don't have that at all. You send somebody a message on Slack or Teams or whatever you have. They take 3 hours to respond. You don't get your question answered. By the time the 3 hours passes, the question really isn't relevant anymore, and it's just kind of a recurring cycle. The good news is once you do have all of the answers, then you can just spend all of your time focusing on getting whatever problem that needs to be solved. So that is probably what's best about work from home compared to being in the office. Because in the office, there are just so many distractions. You know, I'd be in the office, they'd say, hey, a vendor showed up, and the vendor has food, and you should say hi to the vendor because they came all the way out here and they brought food. And it's like, I don't want to say hi to the vendor. The vendor knows who I am. We work together. There's no reason for me to like go up and just say hi right now. You know, I'll chat with them during the training. And then a whole bunch of other employees would get up and talk with the vendor, and then I would need something worked on, and I'd send an email to that person, and that person wouldn't help me with the thing I needed because they were talking to the vendor. There's just tons of distractions. You know, like I said, people will take long lunches. Work from home, that usually isn't the case. Every once in a while, you get the person that like is working from home but doesn't do their job. Yeah, you'll learn pretty quickly that you don't send requests to that person. But I don't know if you know, but they can track your metrics pretty easily in a remote setting. So those people usually don't last very long. I mean, they can track it. They can track it just fine in the office, but yeah, they don't. Those people don't last very long typically. So hopefully, I can stick with this remote job here for a while. Most of you know, but I work in sales. I've worked in sales basically my whole life. And sales is a lot like sports. Here in America, we like sports a lot. I'm sure you all like sports as well. But yeah, we like sports. And one of the things that we like about sports is just kind of how cutthroat it is. You know, you can be picked to join a team. You can do really well. And then somebody else makes a trade offer, and then you're just shifted around anyway. It doesn't matter how good of a player you are. When money talks, you know, shifts get made all of the time. And of course, fans hate that because their best player is on their team and is going somewhere else. It makes them feel horrible. But as for like the actual entertainment of watching the game, not knowing, basically not having certainty, things are changing all of the time. It makes for a really entertaining performance, especially if you watch it on the TV. You don't have season tickets. I bet if you have season tickets, it would be stressful. Sales is a lot like that. I wouldn't say it's quite as entertaining. You don't have people paying to watch salespeople do salesperson things on the TV, but you can be performing incredibly well and then have your territory cut in half, or your accounts moved to somebody else, or a new manager steps up, or your team goals change to target a different industry rather than the one you were focused on. And when that happens, well, you just got to roll with it. People get hired and fired all the time. You might be a top performer doing well, and you'll still get let go because a company wants to change their focus on promoting a different type of industry or a different type of product. Some people are just assholes, and They don't think that you're a good culture fit. And so even though you sell well, they take these layoffs as an opportunity to kick you out. Happens all the time. I've never seen there be any sort of job security in sales unless you're literally like one of the top, I mean, depending on company size, like the top 10 salespeople in the whole company. And even there, there's a level of uncertainty. However, it's something that I really like. It's something that I've always really enjoyed. I obviously don't enjoy, when I'm on the receiving end of the negatives, but it's the risk, it's the stakes of being in a role like that keeps me interested and keeps me motivated. I mean, of course, on the other side of things, it's just like helping people, like clients. I really like helping people who just need help with things, and then they come to me to solve their problems. Like, that makes me feel really good. And I'm not doing the same tasks every single day. So every day is unique. There's a different project that needs to be solved. There's a different way of going about those problems in order to solve them. So I really like that element of sales or from technology. Technology is always changing, which means I constantly have to keep up with what the new trends are, which means that every year, even somebody that asks for the same type of solution is going to be getting something different. So of course, without the customers, without the people reaching out for my help, the job wouldn't be worth it. But I really like solving people's problems and solving people's challenges. I like that the problems are always changing and that the challenges are always changing, as well as the solutions. I'm constantly getting something new. And that makes kind of like the corporate sales BS, let's just say like the bureaucracy and the politics and the stuff that gets in the way of solving problems, it makes it all worth it. Because I don't know if you've noticed, I don't know if you've worked in an office before, even if you found a company that works great for you compared to all the others that you worked at, there's always corporate bureaucracy and BS. There's just no way to avoid it. It's just the nature of a large company. Any company with a board of directors, any company with, different layers to, anything that's not a mom and pop shop. Certainly every public company, I'll put it that way. Every single public company is like that. But most private companies that have grown large are like that as well. So it makes it all worth it, knowing that I'm helping people and equipping them, and essentially like building relationships with those folks over time. It's like I said, at work, I don't really build friendships with people where I go out and grab lunch or like go golfing with them or join an ultimate frisbee league or even go out for like dinner or drinks afterwards. Even when I was working in an office, I worked in an office for about 4 years, I never really was interested in any of those things. The only people that I built like what you could call friendships with were people at work that were really good at their job that could help me get really good at my job. And on the other side, I built really good friendships with the people that needed me to solve their problems. Most of the time people will come in, they reach out to the company randomly assigns like me to help them. I help them and then I never hear from them again. And then on the flip side, maybe I'll call a company and let them know who I am and let them know what I help with. And most people, that's like a cold call. Most people don't like cold calls, and so they hang up. About 99 out of 100 people will hang up on me. And then one of them will say, yeah, we'll hear you out. And after they hear me out, they'll say no again, and I have to make another 100 calls. So maybe probably like 1 out of every 500 calls that I make, one person will actually listen to what I say and then decide to buy something. And then that's usually it as well. But there's a rare few that come back, buy something, I solve a problem for them, they say, hey, I appreciate that. Let's give you another opportunity. Let's see if you can be competitive in this space on another problem and solve another problem, and then another, and then another. And if you get, if a customer, a new person who needs something, if you can solve a problem for them once a month, and they're willing to pay money to have that problem solved once a month, 6 months in a row, those people will essentially be your clients for life. And those people, I would say, are, this is a business relationship. Everything's predicated on a business relationship. But I'd say those people are like the closest things to my friends in the corporate world that I have, outside of my immediate coworkers and stuff. So, generally speaking, well, not generally speaking, I can't think of a single example where I blend my friendships in my personal life with my work life. I just don't do that. I care genuinely about the people that I work with, but there are certain boundaries that I have. And if my relationship with you is predicated on the fact that we work together, like we kind of have to be together by choice, then there are going to be boundaries in place on how much I share and we interact about our personal lives. Yeah, I'm happy to open up with people about my personal life when I'm the one deciding to go out and repeatedly be around this person. But if I have to be around this person because I work with them, well, there are certain things that we're going to interact on and have a great time with because it's work related, and then there are other things personally that just are not going to be discussed. I don't know why some people get so comfortable sharing intimate details about themselves just because they have to be around another person. I think they misconstrue the fact that they're around another person a lot and are like getting comfortable with them and learning more about them with the fact, like, I think they misconstrue being around a person a lot with enjoying that experience. It's a skill to be able to get along with people, but just because you get along with them doesn't mean that like you and them are going to be great friends. It's the same with like school, for example, or any sort of college as well. It's like, hey, you're in that class because you have to be. Let's see what we got going on here. Add the rice for, yeah, you're in class together because you have to be with one another. This isn't a choice. So yeah, I agree, it's best for all of you to try to get along with one another and make friends even with them, and continue that well after the classes are over. But just because you see somebody every single day, just because you're having a good relationship with them, doesn't mean that you have to open up about your personal life the entire time. I don't know, maybe I'm off base there. I don't feel like I have a very good argument for that. The more I think about it, the more I think, well, maybe I could have explained myself a little bit better. So I'll get your perspective instead. Maybe I didn't think that through as well as I could have. Probably just the antisocial nature that's a part of me. I see it as way too trusting, is probably the best way that I can put it foundationally. I think people can get way too trusting. Yeah, I think that's the way that I put it. I think people get way too trusting after being around others multiple times. I think they misconstrue being around somebody often with having developed trust. Just because you're around somebody every single day and have interacted with them and had good interactions with them doesn't mean that you're developing a level of trust with them, or that they have developed a level of trust with you. Even though they've opened up about their personal lives, doesn't mean that it's difficult to judge authenticity in a work environment. Not to mention that in sales, just practically, So this part I am confident in. Just practically speaking, mixing like interpersonal relationships in with your work life in sales just complicates things. Certainly dating at work, if you're in sales, is a huge complication. Yeah, regardless of the argument of how ethical that is, dating in sales is a huge level of complication. So I'll definitely go that far. But even just like generating good friendships that aren't predicated on work, I would say that complicates your effectiveness at work. And in an industry that is so cutthroat, where even people that are performing at an extremely high level are cut from their teams and reassigned to other departments or given less responsibility despite being effective, melding with the interpersonal relationships. I'll just say the person who's prioritizing the work over the interpersonal relationships is going to be more effective. They may be cut anyway, but they'll definitely have more opportunities to get other jobs in other companies than the person who is in an interpersonal sense. If you're only focusing on the interpersonal relationships, then basically the only jobs that you're going to be getting, if you have to leave that company, are the jobs with people that you're interpersonal with. And that's good, because you'll have another job. But you're having a job with somebody that recognizes your value based on your ability to be a friend with them, not somebody who can recognize your value based on your ability to perform. It's a balance. It's a balance. And let me just say, this is all entirely predicated on the fact, that I'm working sales. All right, if you work in a different department, or you work in a different role, especially if you're not working like an office job, this is a completely different situation. Completely different situation that's not. What I am saying is not relevant to those situations, but specifically in sales, and specifically in competitive office environments, I'm very surprised to see the amount of people that have relationships predicated on feelings, and relationships, like in interpersonal relationships, like dating in the office. I don't see that as a very intelligent move. It's like, I mean, I understand people that don't want to prioritize like career, if that makes sense. Like the career is kind of like something that can be idolized by a lot of people. But it seems like you're kind of prioritizing your feelings over like your ability to provide for your family. You know? You get what I'm saying? Why are you prioritizing this office romance relationship over your ability to just, it's not about making money, but just be able to like prioritize your kids and things like that. I don't know. I have a couple of personal stories from what I saw that did not make any sense to me. And guess what? It ended exactly how, I mean, geez, that was my first corporate job. I had spent about a year in that corporate job. And even I, a year in, was looking at it, I was like, this can only end poorly. And sure enough, it ended exactly how you think it would have ended. Those two people don't work at that company anymore. Matter of fact, they've been hopping companies quite a lot since then. Okay. Is this a cooking channel or a sales motivation channel? Let's get back to the food here real quick. Because I have not had chicken and rice in like 5 days. I'm getting withdrawals. So I think I should have spent a little bit more time trying to dry those beans out. As you can see, they've kind of like stained the rice a really dark color. So I've turned the temperature of this pan up super high. In order to get as much of this moisture cooked off. Oh shoot, what the heck happened there? Is that just a whole piece of chicken I just launched? I think that is. That's just a massive piece of chicken that I have over here. What the heck? Okay, well. Good, it is in fact cooked, and very thoroughly, I may add. We have some rogue rice and a rogue bean from time to time. I don't know if I've ever launched a whole piece of chicken into my stove. So, well, you know what? The color of this is by far the worst color that I've had in any of my meals. We've been doing this for about 6 months now, and this is just the worst colored Nathan meal I've ever made. Oh my gosh, I hate this. I hate this so much. What did I do? What did I do? I swear I've cooked with these beans before, but it's just the juice. I really should have strained those beans a little bit better. So we're gonna have to fix this with, I mean, even the soy sauce doesn't make a dark color like that. See, not like that. We're gonna have to change this with some sriracha. We'll add some sriracha to it, make it look good. That's abysmal. What an abysmal color. So anyway, I will focus on the cooking, but kind of going back to my thoughts. I do believe the way I restructured my thoughts on talking about these office relationships predicated on trust is probably what most concerns me. Is that you don't know who these people are, and just because you're spending a lot of time with them doesn't mean that you trust them. I mean, if you trust somebody, it's about, you should have a reason for trusting them. It means not having a reason to think that they're untrustworthy. And if your reason for not thinking if the reason for thinking they're trustworthy is because you're spending a lot of time with them, that's very short-sighted, because you're going to show up to work and be around them every day anyway. You know, you're going to be in class, in school, and show up around them every day anyway. It's in your best interests to be friendly with them and to work productively with them and to find common interests that you can have a sort of emotional bond. But developing a friendship predicated on an environment that you have no control over and are actually required to be in every single day, have a little bit of insight into your own life on that you are not as in control of this relationship as you think you are. The office environment and culture, your job essentially, has more control over your relationship with this person than you do. Gosh, this is horrible. This is awful. I mean, I'm going to eat all of it. I'm going to eat all of it, and it's going to be delicious. But this is just, I wouldn't recommend any of you do this at all. This is just slop meal. This is real slop meal right now. Some of you have made jokes that this is just a pile of slop. This is probably the most pile of slop meal that I have. See, I gotta get back to the gym or something now. This is like perfect gym food for Nathan. But I'm telling you right now, I'm starving. All I had was just that, not even burrito. It was just like a chicken, not chicken wrap. It was just like a breakfast wrap. And that's all I ate yesterday because I ate so much the day before with the chicken and dumplings. This here, oh my gosh, this is gonna be so good. I'm just telling you. This is gonna be so good. But boy, does it look, it looks like I'm eating clay. This is what happens when I take a 5-day break from making my regular Nathan meal. So you get something like this. The good news is all the moisture is out of here now. All of the moisture is gone. If we had just kept the rice and didn't substitute half a cup of rice for these beans, we wouldn't have gotten this dark color. But it's absolutely fine. They're absolutely good. And I'm looking at the time right now. I don't have to leave for work for about an hour. But although I do eat this entire meal in a single sitting, usually, sometimes it does take me like more than an hour. It just doesn't make sense to force myself to eat everything really quickly. So I will usually eat it in a single sitting, but it does take quite a lot of time. So let me take my cleaning brush out so it doesn't melt. We have one final thing to do. The most important. We haven't been doing this the last few days because, well, we haven't been eating Nathan meal. We've been getting all creative and stuff. We gotta weigh our food. We gotta weigh our food, ladies and gentlemen. So let's take this, move this to pounds. What's going on here? Zero this stuff out. Okay, good. Put our lid on. And that is a heavy meat to ball. 2.89 pounds. 2.89 pounds. I mean, geez, 2.899 pounds, so 2.9. 2.9 pounds. That's insane. It's a massive meal. So we're going to add some sriracha on top of this. Let's see. Let me get a look at the camera right here. I mean, can we get a good thumbnail, you think? You think this is good enough for a good thumbnail? There's got to be something good in there. Anyway, I appreciate all of you watching. We're going to sign off from here. Curry, later in the week. Me, starting a new job in sales. This is good stuff. Me with my flowy shirt and plaid on plaid. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.